Joining us now from the Colombian-Venezuela border is CBN contributor Chuck Holton. Chuck, how have things changed since you were there last 2 weeks ago?
Wow, great question, George. It's been amazing to see just how much more desperate people are now than they were even 2 weeks ago. I was here, as you know, when they were trying to bring that American aid into Venezuela across the bridge from Cucuta. And what we found was, they burned that aid in front of those hungry Venezuelans. The power then went out, and now there are just thousands and thousands of people. And the level of frustration and anger and desperation is much higher.
Speak to that desperation, Chuck. In fact, you had a situation yesterday, quite harrowing. Tell us what happened, sir.
Well, we were down filming the people they've closed the bridges now that were the ports of entry where people could come into Colombia, buy whatever food they could afford, and carry it back into Venezuela. Now, the Venezuelan government won't allow anybody to cross those bridges. And so everybody's just crossing through the river, which is kind of strange because they're within sight of the police and the border guards on the bridge, but whatever. Thousands of people walking back and forth down there. We were down there filming that yesterday. And I was right on the riverbank, and suddenly 3 men came and grabbed me and tried to drag me into Venezuela. And in Spanish, they were yelling, grab him, get him, get him. And they weren't trying to hurt me. They weren't trying to rob me. They weren't trying to grab my cameras. They were grabbing me and pulling me into Venezuela. I can only figure from that they imagined that they would get a good reward of some sort from the government there, from the police or the National Guard in Venezuela for capturing a supposed, American spy who was taking pictures of the border or something like that.
Yeah, so glad that you were safe there. Tell us what's the latest with the regime's president, Nicolas Maduro. What is he doing to help? And what about the opposition leader, Juan Guaido? How is he responding?
Well, Juan Guaido's popularity is increasing day by day as he went back to Venezuela about a week ago. And when he arrived at the airport, he received it just like a hero's welcome. They say now at least 60% of people in Venezuela are in support of him, and probably 38% more are in support and just won't say so because they're afraid of the government. Well, I was talking to some people last night who made it out. They traveled 2 days on a bus to get to the border to cross into into Colombia. And they told me that the only reason everyone hasn't left Venezuela yet is because most of them still can't afford the bus fare to get to the border. But I said, if there was enough money for people to get on the bus, or if the bus was free to get to the border, how many people would leave? And she said, absolutely everyone. Yeah. But now, as it is, most people are having to combine their funds and send one person to the border to try to earn enough money to bring food back in to feed their families.
Wow, last minute here that we have. CBN's Operation Blessing is on the ground, and they're looking for ways to provide relief. Can you tell us a little bit about what they're doing?
Right. We've been doing assessments today, looking at, what kinds of things we can do to meet the need. The need is so great that even an organization as big as OB is going to have a hard time meeting it by themselves. But there are things that we're finding that we could do that we didn't realize before. For example, socks and shoes. There are lots of Venezuelans who are literally walking all the way to Bogota, which is like 500 kilometers. So walking for 2 weeks, kind of like a mini caravan like we saw back in November, in order to get to somewhere where there are better job opportunities, more aid, that sort of thing. And many of them are walking in flip-flops. And so you can imagine how bad their medical needs for their feet, their skin, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Chuck, thank you so much, sir, for being there. Will you please be very, very careful, and we'll continue to pray for you and the people of Venezuela. Thanks for coming on the show.